Hey, GW coming to you live. Hey, first of all, it's Labor Day, and I hope everyone has a great holiday. And I hope y'all stay safe. We were out, before I do this movie review, we were out Saturday, as a matter of fact. We were down in the Walmart area, and people they drive insane down there. We're almost T-boned, people cutting across parking spots, and it just seemed like a big mess. So just be careful out there. If you guys are doing any travel or whatever, be cool. But you guys already know that. What am I talking about? So a couple things have been going down. We've had some health scares with my parents, so I haven't dropped a video. I was gonna drop one yesterday, but we had an emergency. Um, Kept you on the edge of your seat, you know, because you don't know what to do. My dad had to go to the emergency room twice this week. But everything right now, as far as this minute goes, everything is cool. Um, my mom, she wasn't doing too well later. She twisted her ankle real bad, and it makes you feel. You know what I mean? Because your parents. You always think they're made of steel and everything else, and nothing happens. But when something happens, it's like, oh my god, like what happened? And you just wait patiently for updates. But so I wanted to apologize to everybody for not being on. A lot of people deserve shout outs real quick, so I'm going to get to that before I review this video. Uh, First of all, if you guys are down around the Clearview Mall area and the Eaton Park area, or the Eaton Park restaurant rather, there is a wonderful waitress named Sam. And every time she comes in, she takes care of us. She knows exactly what we want, and she's really awesome. She sits with you, she talks to you, and she's really great. And her mom used to work down there too. We know her mom too. Her name was Dawn, just like my wife, and she's pretty awesome. John, my man John, went to the Stoneboro Fair. You know, I didn't go there. I was here. My man Josh. These are guys that play video games all the time, and they play those really hard games like Dark Souls and Sekiro, and they're pros at it. And I just give them big shout outs for not only being helpful toward me, getting me through the games, but also being really awesome friends. My man Dave works down at the government center that I work at, and he hooks up phones, and he's an awesome cat. I want to give a shout out to him. You know, all my fans that keep tuning in. I cannot tell you how amazing it is that I'm still here. Years later, cutting videos, and you guys are still watching them, and that's great. That's why every time I feel like I don't, or I slight you guys out of a video, I gotta say, hey, I'm sorry. It's just me. Um. So anyway, and I haven't been sleeping real good, so if I look a little messed up, it's just drama, stress. So we're gonna talk about a really interesting movie in terms of, I would say, reception. People's reception of it. And I watched it. It's Vampire's Kiss from 1989, and it stars Nicolas Cage. And anytime you read a review about this film, they tell you that Nicolas Cage's over the top performance ruins the film. However, this film was ripped apart in 1989, obviously. When you look at it now, it seems to be the origin of Nicolas Cage's more over the top performances, that have come since. And he does an awesome job in this movie. I think at the time, because this movie was deemed a critical box office failure, it made sense that they had to find something in the film to target to make it a box office failure. But let's talk about the movie here, and you guys make up your own mind. All right, first of all, it stars Nicolas Cage as Peter Lowe. He is a literary agent who signs people to multi-million dollar book contracts and everything else. You have His secretary, played by Maria Conchita Alonso, who was big in the 80s. She was on this, Predator, Colors. You know, her acting list is quite impressive. You have Jennifer Beals in the film, and you have Elizabeth Ashley, who I believe plays the vampire, and I think her name's Rachel. So, how does this movie all come together? Well, Nicolas Cage's character, Peter Lowe, uh, like I said, he's a literary agent, signs people, to this publishing firm, and by night he hits nightclubs. Well, in one of his one night stands, he dates, or he goes home with a woman who you think is normal until she turns into a vampire and bites him. Now, the interesting thing is, this is a different take on the vampire story. Um, we get to see him slowly descend into mental madness as well as physical madness. He goes from being a normal guy, say eating spaghetti, right, to eating cockroaches, much like the throwbacks of the old Dracula films. This movie was written by Robert Berman, and I think Robert Berman wanted to throw so much at the screen that some of it didn't work. That's what I think. Um, yeah, Rachel is played by Jennifer Beals, and Jennifer Beals was also in the classic Flashdance. Uh, Rachel makes Peter Lowe her slave. She shows up, randomly, drains blood from him, and basically keeps torturing him the whole movie. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like tie up and whip or anything like that. I mean like just basically have her way, controls him, mind control. The interesting part of this movie is when you see Cage descend into mental madness. One of the most outrageously over the top moments in this is when he's at his psychiatrist's and she says maybe a file was misfiled, and the rant that Nick Cage goes on is classic. It's very classic, and you could see, like I said, the origin of his crazy behavior. The ending of this movie, I'm just gonna say that it seemed like the script didn't know where to go and it just stopped. Um, but whenever it was released, it made just shy of $1 million, and its budget was $2 million. And I think again for the time, people were looking at more intense vampire films. I mean, The Lost Boys came out a few years later, and it pretty much buried this thing. This thing, like, nobody knew how to take this. Was this a straight horror film? Was it a drama with horror elements in it? I think it was misunderstood. It is a black comedy with horror elements in it, and I don't think people knew how to process the film. Um, but like I said, it's not a very bad film. It's one you could have on if you watch it once and you flip it on, keep it in the background. There's little to no gore in this film. It's more profanity laced, I do believe. There's also a smidget of nudity, so it did warrant the R rating. MGM put this out, and I think quickly it went to home video. It was released on Scream Factory for just a limited time, and it was also put out by MVD Video. Now, MVD Video put out the classic Mortuary that I reviewed some time ago. But when you watch this film, it's not as bad as what critics say. Rolling Stone magazine said this film should not even be mentioned and put a stake through its heart. Basically means it's a Z grade movie. some people have criticized Cage's over the top acting, and that's what ruined the film. But in addition, it's like too much of something is a bad thing. But when you look back on it, the interesting thing is, like I said, you can see the genesis of Nick Cage's crazy persona and his eyes when he goes, I can't do it with my glasses, but when he goes like this, you know, you see that look throughout his films, the crazy look. His mannerisms in the film get it quite eccentric and somewhere over the top. Again, another classic moment is when he walks into literary agency with dark glasses, lighting a cigarette, just cool, complicated, cool and cocky. You could see the evolution. Toward the end, though, his performance gets more erratic. He starts talking to people that aren't even there. He walks into inanimate objects. He just loses his mind. And for Cage to give that much of a hyperactive, kinetic performance, in my opinion, is pretty good. The story could have been a little better. Um, Most of the story centers around, like I said, him turning into a vampire and his dealings with Maria Conchita Alonso's character, his secretary. They have the most interaction on screen time. And they play well together. She plays the victim slash tormented secretary. And it's an interesting dynamic to watch. But again, I think the script falls short just a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily make it a horrible film. But if you are into Nicolas Cage, and I know a lot of people go, you know what, all of his movies come right to home video, and he burned himself out as an actor, but there is some substance to him there. Whenever I saw Willy's Wonderland, and I saw what he could do without talking. I mean, that film was amazing. Prisoners of Ghostland was another really strange head trip, but if you like Cage, you went with it. And I think this is pretty much the case here with this one. If you like Nick Cage, you'll like the movie. It's not going to be on Nick Cage's top 10, but it'll be definitely in the top 3. It'll be in the top 10, I should say. So that's that. So I hope you guys enjoy the movie. Check it out. But Vampire's Kiss, not a bad movie to check out. I think it just was more or less misunderstood. I think when people went there to see the movie and didn't know what it was actually supposed to be, then they had a problem with it. Um, but yeah, there is something there. I think if the story was structured more and it gave Cage a little bit more moments and the story was the characters were more fleshed out, I think you would see a better picture. But again, don't believe any critics, you know. Speaking of critics, I just picked up about 2 weeks ago. I picked up the new Saints Row game. And the minute I picked it up, came home and checked out the IGN review, it was really, really low, guys. It was horrible. And I'm like, okay, did I just buy, the worst game of the year? Well, there was a bunch of bugs. And of course, when any new game launches, there are bugs, and then they put out patches and they, fix whatever the issue is. Most of the bugs were on PC. I bought it for another console. I completed it and had very, very, very minor glitches into it. I mean, we're talking maybe 2 or 3 at most. And that's within probably 7 or 8 hours of gameplay. Um, don't let the hype fool you, when it comes to the bad reviews. This game is super fun. And I want to address this because so many people, have written how bad it is. It is not a very bad game. Like I said, in my opinion, it's better than Grand Theft Auto because the missions seem to be more over the top. I mean, in Grand Theft Auto, I don't recall you having to do a mission where you kidnap a real estate agent and drive recklessly through traffic for him to sign up to give you papers, of property. That mission was really fun. The only complaint that I have of the game is those missions, as fun as they are very short in duration. Also, in Grand Theft Auto, I do not think you get to drive a hoverboard. In fact, I know you don't. This one you do. There is a lot of shooting in this game, and it's pretty awesome. And it's over the top. It's probably a B or C level movie, and it rivals anything that Sylvester Stallone's done in terms of action sequences or Bruce Willis. Don't let it fool you. I hope to God, Volition keeps releasing these types of games only on a better scale and not, don't have so many bugs in them, because this game was fun. I don't care what critics say. I don't care what other players say. I played it. I beat the thing. I'm still playing the thing, and I love the character. So, that's just my take on it. Um, Nothing else. The new female Hellraiser is coming out, and it's going to be on Hulu. It looks pretty interesting, but I don't know. And speaking of interesting, on Peacock in October, Halloween Ends, the final chapter of Danny McBride's uh, Halloween trilogy, which is going to finally pit Laurie Strode against Michael Myers. And hopefully, the fight isn't like a 2 second fight. Hopefully, we get a nice drawn out 15-minute, you know, anything goes until one of you guys drops type deals. That's what I'm looking forward to. So I will be able to review that because, again, I have Peacock. I will check it out the first day it comes on. And that's about it. But big shout out to everybody who's been down with me. Um, Also, Casey and Emily, thank you for supporting. Thanks for love. You know what I'm saying? Love. Um, and again, Sam is probably the best waitress in that whole restaurant, at least to us. And I think that's why you go there, guys. I think that's why you go to a place, like a restaurant or, maybe a bar. Because you guys, there's a bond that forms between you as the client and them as the, caretaker. But anyway, guys, have a great Labor Day holiday. Don't drink too much. And if you do, hey, there's always Uber. GW. Hope you watch Vampire's Kiss. Like I said, don't believe the hype. It's just one of those ancient ones I'd never seen, and I just wanted to get around to. And play Saints Row. It's a very fun game. Peace.